Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome President and founder of TAPS, Presidential Medal of Freedom recipient, and U.S. Air Force veteran, Bonnie Carroll.
It's about the love. This is why we serve. This is why we defend this great nation. And this is how we live our lives. I was very fortunate to be raised by a Women's Army Air Corps veteran. My mother inspired me greatly, and she had the opportunity to fly in World War II. It was one of the greatest experiences of her life, and one of the most precious possessions she passed along to me was a chain with a wing nut on it. It was given to her by her fellow aviators, the guys who she was just so proud to be accepted by. And she said, "This is for coming in on a wing and a prayer." And you know, that's the way life is. There's a lot of coming in on a wing and a prayer. I lost my mom when I was a teenager, and it was tough. But her words and her inspiration stayed with me. I began a career in politics and took a break from that to join the Air National Guard because I wanted to serve our country and do my part. My career took me ultimately to working for President Ronald Reagan, and at the end of his career, I was fortunate to be in the West Wing doing correspondence and writing decision memorandums and serving with him day to day. But at that point, I was the only reservist actually working there in the West Wing. I don't know if some of you may remember, but back at in the days leading up to the 1988 election, very, very tense time, there was an incident that captured the world's attention. And it was this crazy thing with 3 gray whales stuck in the ice. Now, I think the media and the public were tired of all of the campaigning and just kind of excited to have a little bit of a break in that. And everyone was captivated by, would these whales get out of the ice? So one evening, on his way back to the residence, President Reagan stopped by my office, and he said, "Now, Bonnie," he said, "you're in the National Guard." I said, "Yes." And he said, "Well," he said, "could you just," he said, "call someone you know." Because we all know each other in the Guard. And he said, "Call someone you know and find out what's going on. Find out if the federal government can help. See what we can do to support the effort." And that was the way he led. He led from that standpoint of helping others, of having the government serve the people. So I called someone I knew, who called someone they knew, and eventually I got on the phone with Barrow, Alaska, and I spoke with Colonel Tom Carroll, who was leading the operation. That was the beginning of my love story. We connected right away, and we're together ever after that first phone call. A book was written about the whale rescue that spoke about our connection, and that book was then leveraged by Universal Studios. 20 years later, it was actually made into a motion picture with Drew Barrymore and John Krasinski and others called Big Miracle. And it told the story of how we met. Spoiler alert, the movie ends with our wedding. And in the credits, there are actually pictures of our wedding and then the actors portraying those scenes. But it was an incredible time. Tom and I were so happy. He was promoted to Brigadier General, and he took on the role of the Assistant Adjutant General of the Alaska Army National Guard. His father had been the first Adjutant General of Alaska back in the 50s when Alaska was becoming a state. And tragically, his father had been killed in a C-123 crash when he was just a teenager. So our world was incredibly happy. The movie ends with our love story, but it doesn't go on to the next chapter. And that was our tragic loss. In November of 1992, Tom and 7 other soldiers were killed in an Army C-12 plane crash. Just a routine mission, just a routine flight. He was taking a visiting 2-star general around the state to show off the units, the Alaska Guard. He was so proud. The plane went into the mountains. And with that aircraft and those soldiers went our future and went our hopes. It was difficult even to just catch my breath. You know, I thought, boy, I had a career, I've been in the Guard, I really studied and helped others. I thought I could go on and just be a support to the other 7 families, to the entire National Guard, that I could help our family heal. But I found that it was just difficult to put one foot in front of the other. So I started looking for the kind of support programs that I knew existed for other types of loss in our society. This is America, and we have a support group for everything. But there wasn't one for the military, nor had there ever been. There had never been a place for the families of America's fallen heroes to come together, to find hope, to find healing, to find comfort and care. So I thought, if there was going to be a time, now was that time. I started doing very careful needs assessment and gap analysis, and when I was kind of able to emerge from my own grief, started talking to those in positions to understand, to the Department of Veterans Affairs, to the VA, to organizations doing peer-based emotional support, and finding out where were the gaps in services. I found there were 4, and that was creating that national network of peer-based care, providing 24/7 access to comfort. We do that now through our helpline that is operated live and around the clock. We offer casework assistance, community-based care, connections to family members who are now trained to support another. It is an extraordinary family of over 60,000 survivors who have come together to bind up their wounds and care for each other. What we stress in TAPS is that it is not about the moment of their death. It is about the years of their life. They step forward to do something extraordinary in this country. They step forward, as you have, to selflessly serve in the cause of freedom. And that is forever remembered. Well, when that still small voice dares to ask if the life you grieve will inspire the life you will live. Of those of our loved ones whose names are carved into stone, we may say they were incredibly, irrepressibly full of life, and ask, if they are not immortal, what of the rest of us? Well, they are immortal because they will live forever in the words and hopefully in the deeds of every life they touched. It is about the hope. We have been blessed over the years now to partner with 9 different countries, with our coalition partners around the world. And in January of this year, after many years of going back and forth and connecting and collaborating, we opened an office in Kabul, Afghanistan, with the widows and the orphans of the Afghan National Security and Defense Forces. I was walking near our office in downtown Kabul one day, and I saw a mural, and it just broke my heart. It was actually a man pushing a heart tenderly in a wheelbarrow. And it spoke volumes. The rest of that mural was a map of Afghanistan with a Band-Aid over it. And I thought, how absolutely profound the healing for a country that was broken. And could we, with the voice of those who had paid the ultimate sacrifice for their respective countries, could the widows of America and the widows of Afghanistan come together and find hope and healing and meaning and purpose? My husband really was my hero, and he was an incredible speaker and a great leader. And if he were here today, his words to you would be very simple. Life is rarely understandable, and it is often very unfair. We are all living on borrowed time, time borrowed from God. The material things in life are fleeting. It is our family and our friendships that remain. Cherish each moment that you have and live a life worthy of their sacrifice. I'm Bonnie Carroll. I'm an Air Force veteran, and I'm an Army surviving spouse. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie. Every time I hear Bonnie talk, I cry, which gives me an opportunity to thank Macy's for their sponsorship and this great handkerchief. I'm going to be brief. For those of you who've just heard Bonnie's story for the first time, you just saw a small glimpse of the leadership that you've shown the entire community for decades. And what I want to highlight, in addition to the Presidential Medal of Freedom and the fact that she's an Air Force veteran, is that within the veteran empowerment movement, if you call Bonnie Carroll and ask her to do something, she never says no. She always says yes. And Bonnie, on behalf of Got Your Six and the Veteran Empowerment Movement, I want to present you with the Veteran Empowerment Award, our first year for our nonprofit partnership. And I want to thank you for your friendship, your love, and support. Thank you, Bonnie.
Thank you.